Alright guys, good morning. So we've been over the decapods and the crustaceans of the phylum Arthropoda. Today we're going to go over the horseshoe crab, which is actually pretty interesting. It's not related to crabs at all, so our American name for them is not very good. They are more related to spiders and scorpions and ticks, and in fact they think they descended from sea scorpions like many millions of years ago, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So these guys are in the class Merostomata, which literally means mouth surrounded by legs, and I'll show you the underside of him in just a minute. And these totally creep me out, by the way. So unlike the ones we've studied before, they have many more legs. The outside of their body is not divided into two sections like the crustaceans. It's actually three. You got this part up here that's still called the carapace, and then you have this second part, and then they have their tail, which is called a telson, and they have to have that to flip themselves back over. So if you have a horseshoe crab that does not have its tail and it gets flipped over, it will eventually die because it can't flip himself back over. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the underside of these things. This is what creeps me out so bad. So there's their mouth. And then all of these legs surround that mouth. So they have chelicera, which are like the first set of legs, so to speak, that helps them put food in their mouth. And then they're supposed to have 6 pairs of legs. And actually this guy is missing one, so that's kind of interesting. There's only 11. So down here, these things are called book gills, which interestingly enough is what spiders and them breathe with. And then under here is where all of its organs are. So if a bird or something wants to eat one of these things and they find it on the shore, they'll basically eat this fleshy stuff underneath here, and that's about all there is for horseshoe crabs to feed on other organisms. Most birds, though, however, prefer their eggs. So let's talk a little bit about how they reproduce. We discussed this when we talked about tides. I don't know if you remember, but they will actually come to shore in May to June, and they spawn in like really shallow water, and they'll lay thousands upon thousands upon thousands of eggs and kind of cover them up a little bit with sand, and then they go back into the ocean. So that leaves a lot of the eggs vulnerable to be eaten by shorebirds and different things like that. So very few of them actually survive. So interestingly enough, the females are about 20 to 30% larger than the males. So you can always, if they're together, you can kind of tell that. Okay. All right. So a couple other things I wanted to tell you about these. There's only 4 species that are actually still alive today. They haven't changed much in 450 million years. So a lot of scientists consider these things living fossils. And they only grow to be about 60 centimeters from the tip of their carapace there to the tip of the tail. So they're not that large. And of course, all aquariums, if they have like a live touch tank, normally have these so you can look at them. Of course, they do not want you to flip them over, and they get quite angry if you flip them over. But you may have seen some of them on the shore also, especially if they're dead. So what I'd like for y'all to do is work on the 2 things that I've left for you. One of the reasons horseshoe crabs are almost endangered is because we harvest them for their blood for some bacterial purposes. So I want y'all to watch that TED Talk video on that and then answer some questions for it. And then I found another article that I'd like y'all to read about horseshoe crabs. And before I finish arthropods, I want to show you one last group. The insects. Now there's many more than these, but these are the 3 most common ones that are on our shorelines and marshes and things. So this is class Insecta, so it would fit in the group with all other quote-unquote bugs. The marsh mosquito, which they can be very bad on the beaches depending on which way the wind's blowing. I've been there when they are unbearable, and I've been there when there's been none. This guy is called the greenhead fly. They also bite because they drink blood too. And then this guy is called a no-see-um, or a sand fly. And they call them a no-see-um because they're so tiny you can't see them, but you can absolutely feel them biting you for your blood. Okay guys, so I hope you are enjoying these little lessons, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm keeping up with all your emails. I'm keeping up with all your grades and your assignments. And I do miss you guys. Take care.